These motors are like $1,000. You put a turbo on them and they just go.
And here is that other bumper.
It's pretty aggressive. Don't you think, TP?
It's the big boy wing.
For those of you new to the channel, you may not recognize this car. This is in fact my 1987 Porsche 930 Turbo, and I've owned this car for a decade. Man, a lot of time has passed. I did a video series many years ago on this car, and since then, I've enjoyed it, not as much as I should. I don't drive it a lot, and that's why I've decided I need to reinvigorate my passion for this car, and what better way to do it than some controversial modifications, change things up, make me love it again. And we will start with something that I know a lot of you are gonna be very unhappy about. The turbo model comes with a 3.3 liter engine with some archaic mechanical fuel injection. However, it did make decent power, I think like 300 horsepower. I had the liberty of taking this down to TurboCraft, the entire car. Again, there's a video series on it, and they rebuilt this engine to 3.4 liters with a modern turbo, modern fuel injection. This engine now makes in excess of 500 horsepower. I think on the dyno it made 493 wheel horsepower. And it is a beast of a motor. However, it does have an issue with it, which I'm not gonna reveal just yet. Once we get it up on the hoist, I will show you what it is. But my natural thought was, well, what do we love to do around here? And that is to K-swap everything, everybody. We've shot videos as to K-swap the world. K engines are the best way to go. And the goal for this video series is gonna be taking a K24 and fitting it in here, replacing this engine. These engines are super expensive to fix. You'll see the fix that I have to do is going to be very expensive. These motors are like $1,000. You put a turbo on them and they just go. They're cheap to maintain. That will mean having to cut up this car, which, you know, I have kind of mixed feelings about. It is a classic and a rare vehicle, but you know what? You only live once, and that's what you do.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
If you're crazy. And of course, I'm not gonna put a K motor into my 930. People, come on, you'd be crazy to do something like that. I know the Porsche purists would be beyond upset, and me too, because I am somewhat of, not a purist, but a Porsche fan. I love the air-cooled engines. I love these cars. So what I am gonna be doing though, and you purists may not love, is updating the look of this vehicle to something a little bit more extreme, something I think more racy. As you can see, I have new or used bumpers for it. I have this crazy wing for the rear. I also have another wing, which I'll show you. But first things first, let's get this car onto the hoist and I'll show you the problem that I have with the engine. With this thing up on the hoist, let's start with the wheels and tires. And a huge thanks to Continental, of course, for sponsoring this video series. I will be doing a new set of wheels and tires that is coming. I do like the rotiforms. Again, I'm just kind of grown tired of the look, so they will be being replaced. And underneath, we will be also doing a restoration of sorts on the bushings. I really want to improve the ride quality on this car. A lot of parts on this car, I don't know the age of. Some of them may be original. This car has about 100,000 miles on it, so 160,000 kilometers. And you know, if you look at some of the bushings here, they just are old, tired, probably haven't been replaced since new. But look at and marvel. For those of you that don't get a chance to see under an air-cooled 911, this is pretty cool stuff. This is your gas tank up here. Like, check this out. Your oil cooler is on this side. Underneath here, this is where the air conditioning condenser lives, which this car does not have. These cars are notoriously bad for air conditioning. It does not work well. There are retrofit kits. I would love to do that, except they're a little expensive. They come at a massive price tag, and they're actually a lot of work. You have to rerun a whole bunch of lines, which I'm not into. And look at the 911. The beginning of the flat body. People build these and do this for so many of their vehicles. You don't have to do that with one of these. It's already flat bottomed in the middle here, right? Perfect for aerodynamics. And then we get to the rear here where you've got your gearbox, which is a 4-speed manual. I also don't love that in this car. The gears are just not, I guess, geared correctly for North America, especially around here. You're just kind of always in between gears, where if this was a 5-speed, some of the, I think the 88 cars one year came with a 5-speed, which is pretty awesome. It's a lot of work to retrofit into here, so I will not be doing that. And then of course you have your flat 6, which, man, is a work of art in itself, the way it comes together. If you guys are interested in this engine and how it works, like I said, I have a video series from a while back. Geez, I think DP
2014?
I was gonna say, like, that's it feels a long time. It feels like it's been a long time, but it has been a long time since we shot that. This engine being rebuilt, and it gets torn down and then put back together with all the new parts from TurboCraft, and it has been rock solid. Some of you may be wondering, what is this? What are these weird boxes around these headers? And the way the heating works in a Line 11, most conventional cars have coolant. So the coolant heats up, it runs through your heater core and heats your car. These cars, because they don't have coolant, what they did is they take the heat off of the exhaust and then they channel it up through here, and then it goes in and is blown into the cabin, and you have heat almost instantly. And I mean, I don't know how good it works because most people don't drive these cars in the middle of winter, but I'm sure for its time it was, pretty good thing. So this also has a GTX 35R turbo. As I said, makes 490 to the wheels. I have it dialed back to about 420-ish wheel horsepower, which is a butt ton for this car. But my whole goal when we did this engine rebuild was to have something, old and modern at the same time, with the engine sign being modern. And these engines do respond well to fuel injection and a modern ECU, modern turbocharger. The lag that they're known for is all but gone, and this thing is a rocket ship with this setup. I do also want to redo the exhaust system, only because I want to put a catalytic converter in it. I know that's probably going backwards for some of you, but I want to be able to drive this car and not stink with it. I do have to have the windows down because, like I said, I don't have AC, so this vehicle does kind of permeate that stinky exhaust, and having a catalytic converter will help there. If you look closely here, you see this. This is the plight of every Porsche owner, and that is oil. This is oil dripping. This is an oil leak. So what I have here is an oil leak. And, talking to multiple people, these cars, you can get them rebuilt, if they sit or they don't sit. This is just a natural reality of air-cooled Porsches, that eventually they will leak. Sadly, mine is in a spot that is very, very expensive to fix, and only because you have to essentially tear the motor down. This is the engine case, and then on top of the engine case, there are these cups, this where the pistons reside in, and then the heads. And my oil leak happens to be coming in between the main case and the piston cup. So you can see here, I've already tried to fix it by putting a bunch of silicone in this area, and of course that hasn't stopped it because it's an air-cooled Porsche. It just continues to leak. Maybe it's like minimized it a little bit. What I did have happen here is one of the Viton gaskets between the piston cup and the main case has slowly pushed itself out, and that is no fault to TurboCraft or their workmanship or quality. That is just a byproduct of this car likely sitting around for a while, and that gasket just aging to the point where it starts failing. Now, to do this fix, that means this engine has to come out. The heads have to come off. The piston cups have to be separated to replace that gasket that is there. And that, God, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's something that I personally would never, ever attempt because these engines are so valuable I would have to take this back to TurboCraft to do for me to feel comfortable with it, especially because they built this motor. I would want them to put it back together properly. So, and if I'm doing one, and it's not, like at that point, you just want to do one bank, you might as well do them all because you're here. So you might as well take it all apart. At that point, who knows what you're going to find? You're going to reseal the engine again. So it's one of those things where it's a rabbit hole of money and time, and I'm not going to be doing anything about it. I'm just going to live with it and be content with that little drop of oil on my driveway or in my garage or here, because that's it. Eventually, maybe in another 2-3 years, when I feel it's time, I'll drop the engine and send it off to TurboCraft again. So, but on the bright side, everything is running well. It works flawlessly. Like I've had no issues with this car from 2014 when all this was rebuilt. In preparation for the new bumper, I did have to strip, as you saw, a lot out front here. There was a couple of minor rusty bolts. The Porsche guys have used 8mm nuts in certain places, and of course they were a little bit seized into the rubber. Interesting thing for me to note here is, so these are like the bumper absorbers for crash standards, and look at the way they've been crushed, I think, to put on an angle. They almost look like they've been in an accident. They just like crush them in certain areas to bend them the right way. I can't imagine this is from an accident, because this side here is also exactly the same. You can see it's just been like crushed in a way to, get it at that angle. What I am installing here is essentially a roof CTR bumper. It is certainly a replica. I think the original ones are made out of carbon. This one is made out of fiberglass, and I actually have 2 of these, and that is because I wasn't sure if this was going to fit. Both of them came from Japan. Ironically, Japan seems to have the best quality of fitment for these, which is why I stuck with them. So let's see if I can bolt this on here just lightly right now. This is just for a test fit because I am missing a bunch of parts, but let's see if I can get this guy on here now. And here's the reason why I have 2 bumpers, because you can see this one, it looks like it's gonna fit up. Looks nice here, looks nice here, and then you come to the other side and I can't get this side here up. You can see, look at the huge gap.
Yeah.
And that is because of, if you come down here, you see this brace. I'd have to take this brace off. This is hitting here, which is preventing it from coming up.
So you could trim the bumper around the brace too?
I mean, you could if you really wanted to. I don't want to do that because I have another bumper. And here is that other bumper. And it looks like it's gonna fit up much nicer. You can see this side here is gonna bolt up properly, and over here, this side here, looks like it's gonna bolt up too. I'm just mocking up the right side of the bumper here. See, it fits pretty well. We're kind of unsure about this molding, this trim here that tucks in here. This doesn't look like it's the right one per se. There's people that, I don't know if this is like a 964 one. There's other people that just like run essentially weather stripping all the way around. I kind of like this one because the transition from this piece to this piece is not bad. And the next thing that we are thinking about here is what you see set up. So this being a Euro car, I just have a turn signal indicator here on the original bumper, and then it doesn't have this, I guess it's like a running light, whatever you want to call it. I have them up on here. So I could run it this way, or I'm thinking I could delete this and just have the body guy fill this in, and then you'd kind of have it go to this setup here. But I'm kind of unsure. And we have come full circle. You can see the black bumper is back on after fitting both up. The black one does fit nicer and trimmer right about here. So I'm gonna be going with this one. I did put the fog light in there. I think I'm gonna stay with the fog light. I did also receive my amber indicator here. I think this is a side marker indicator, and you can see I do kind of like the one piece like clear look, but for those of you out there, just to give you an idea as to what this one would look like, I also don't mind this. Kind of breaks it up. So post in the comments, let me know what you guys think. My one gripe with this bumper and its design is how rounded down here it is. This bumper does not include a lip. It has never had one. Roof's never produced that. So it does have this kind of like weird, I don't know, like bulbous round edge here, the contour. It's just too soft in my opinion. Unfortunately, no one makes a lip for this. What they do make out there, this is from GT Racing, is the narrow body version. So this is kind of a front lip that would fit up as such like this. And I think it would certainly give this front bumper quite a bit more presence and more race look, and just kind of get rid of, as I said, you can see just that roundedness. However, this is for the narrow body bumper, so this doesn't fit properly, which means I'm gonna have to section this and widen it and then fill it in. After cutting the front lip here, I have realized, and this is part of the problem that I had before, is that the bumper itself, there's this portion right here that kind of like bulges out, and the contour of the lip right here is hitting it, which is creating this huge gap, which means I'm gonna have to start shaving this side of the lip here to reduce that and try to get this to fit more flush. But you can see I don't actually need a lot in the middle. I'm gonna have to do some, relining up of everything to get it perfect, but I thought I was gonna need like this much in the middle there, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna need a lot of filler to get this lip to work, I hope. And there it is, done. Look at that, a little bit of duct tape, and I would call our front splitter / lip finished, but not really. I've just been going back and forth. I'm like, I don't want to put these on in a split fashion. I don't think that might be the right way to do it. I think the right way to do it is to overlay, like put this back into one piece, add the separation here. Really, I'm just not confident in this, so I'm gonna pull the parachute here and not install this and not do the fiberglass work on this either, because I watched a couple videos. I'm like, if I screw this up, I really don't want to have to buy another lip, not because of the money, because of the time. I want to get this done in a proper time frame. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this as is right now. When I take the body bits to get painted to Richie at FH Pro, I spoke to him on the phone. He's confident he can do this. And I also want to overlay some carbon. Industry Garage has a do-it-yourself carbon fiber kit that I think would look really awesome in. So that's also another level that if we don't have a proper fiberglass job here, that's gonna cause problems with putting down carbon fiber. Long story short, we are done up front and it's time to move to the back. Just fitting up the last screw here. And whew, that was a little bit more work than I expected. You guys saw, I had to drill some holes. This is, of course, a roof style aftermarket fiberglass bumper, and it does away with the factory like accordion bellows that were right here. It's a smoother, nicer looking bumper. It's got these vents here, you know, for more aerodynamics, or just to vent off the excess heat of the turbo and muffler. But this 930 and I'm sure the 911 G bodies have this like weird piece of metal that was sticking out here, and to get this to sit up nice and flush, we had to, you know, I had to cut that like notch in there, which was a little bit odd, but as you can see, the fitment on it is super nice. We are gonna be running a little bit of like rubber trim all the way around here, so you kind of get rid of this gap and really close it off, but it's looking good. We are gonna have to do some exhaust work. As you guys saw, the other ones just don't fit up, and I kind of am thinking, I'm thinking quad tips here, DP, so quad. 2 here. That would be kind of neat, right? If we did 2 here and 2 on the other side, maybe something like that.
Well, maybe titanium even?
Oh man,
Come on.
We'll have to ask the Vibrant boys for something like that. That would be super rad, I think. I totally do. So we do have one more thing that we need to complete, and it is the wing.
Okay.
Gone into the engine abyss.
I see it. I know where it is.
Oh, is there a wire? There's a wire.
Damn it.
Uh-oh. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Here is option 1, and I think this is the right option for the look that I'm going for. I'm just removing this. What
hood pins.
I was gonna say hood. It's a trunk pin?
Trunk pins, yeah.
Hood pin, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you're fancy, but these hood pins I am not gonna keep. I'm gonna have this filled and fixed, but this is what I think is considered a 3.8 RS rear wing. It would have come on the RS model Carreras from the 964 generation, and it kind of gives it that, you know, aggressive look without being a in-your-face like, whoa, I'm building a race car here. And the next wing I have for you guys is exactly that. So let's swap over to that and I'll show you what it looks like. And here we have what would be, I think, the equivalent of a race wing. I think this, I don't even know what generation of 911 this came on, or if this was like a factory race option wing. It certainly gives it that RWB look, and it's pretty aggressive. Don't you think, DP?
It's a big boy wing. I like it though. It's the kind of car that can pull this wing off.
Yeah, I don't know. I
know you're a subtle man who likes
it's kind of crazy. I feel like you need the front end, something wild and crazy on the front end to make this work. I don't know. It's something that I may consider. I think I'm gonna go with the RS wing, and then this one is actually painted, you know, let's just call it midnight black, or like just a plain black, where all the other parts do need repaint. So I could technically put this wing on. I hate the fact that, you know, it needs to run hood pins, which
trunk pins, whatever we're gonna call them.
which really suck. But it's certainly like really rad. You can see it did have ducts here, so there were ducts that were channeling air to the intercooler. Like it's a proper race wing. It's just, I feel a little too racy to be running, I think, a wing of this vintage on a car that will never see a racetrack. So it's cool. Post in the comments, guys. Tell me what you think, which one you guys like. I realize this may be a bit of a controversial move for some of you because so many people love Porsches without window tint. And for me, I decided, well, this car does not have any AC. It does get pretty warm in the summers. It has black interior, so it certainly needed some window tint. And this is not just any window tint. Let me show you what I've got here. This here is some old stock that I've had laying around. It is called 3M Black Chrome window tint. It's hard to see inside the shop in terms of the reflective factor on it. You can kind of get a glimpse of it. It's really much nicer outside. It certainly has a more of like a darker chrome in here. It doesn't really show it properly. The real beauty of this for me though is the transparency inside. It's only like a 45, I think, shade of tint. So you can see it's not dark at all, but because of that chrome factor, it certainly provides a ton of reflectiveness and will really keep the heat out. So I think I've done the right call here and put this on, but certainly let me know in the comments, is this a little bit too much or is this the right play? And just like that, we have run out of time, which means it is a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much for watching. As you can see, the car is down on the ground looking mighty mean and raw here. The pieces are off to paint, which I am very excited for. It's gonna be interesting to see everything bolted up. That front lip is that one maybe. I'm still not 100% sure how it's gonna turn out. We will see how that goes. And next up, we're gonna start doing the suspension. We've gotta do some exhaust work. There is a whole lot coming, so stay tuned for the next one.